Hello and welcome to Premier Study in Investing. It's great to have you. Thanks for stopping by.
Great to see you. I have to do some kind of reaction comments or something to this huge run up. Congratulations on all the bulls. Nick Smith, handle in the comment section. Great job, Nick. If you actually, I'm sure you did. Bought shares at $22, and I think now the peak was up something to 130%. $54, I think, was the top. I'm going to be looking at a video here from the Rank Partners. Personally, I'm still bearish, and I think based on these comments, what my plan is now is to basically options contract that have April expiration because of the risk event that we're going to be hearing about with this trial, Arbitus and Roivant, so sort of an umbrella company. But essentially, it's a dispute over intellectual property for the lipid nanoparticle technology. So let's start. We'll do one from the strategist at Larink, who has an $18 price target still, manages to take a little bit of mockery from the lady hosting the TV show, I think at CNBC, delivers eloquently his thoughts and admittedly that they missed this run-up. Then we'll hear from Stefan Boncel from Moderna, as well as Albert Bourla from Pfizer. So let's start with the Larink.
Investors take a shot on the scene. Joining us now is Leerink Partners Senior Managing Director, Dr. Mani Farouar. Dr. Mani, thanks for joining us.
A pleasure to join you.
You got accelerating an $18 price target, so I'm guessing that you don't understand why it's so high, but can you concede there, though, that there are a number of cancer readouts that are due later this year, and the stock might find some lift here?
Oh, it's 100% critical cancer story. This is a stock that has been a serial underperformer over the course of the last several years as the top line has declined on the vaccine revenue side. And the recovery we've seen has been driven by optimism that we're going to see real critical data on the pivotal trial for this cancer vaccine. And the excitement's not surprising to us. We saw positive data in this study several years ago. This 5-year follow-up follows positive 3-year data earlier. But one of the concerns that we have is the baseline characteristics in this study can be a little bit misleading. And baseline characteristics in a cancer study are a little bit like original sin in that they require tremendous amounts of luck to overcome. This is a study that was sharply biased in favor on terms of the baseline characteristics for the active arm. So we are less likely to extrapolate from this data to the oncology data. But that hope and recovery trade is a huge driver for stock that's been a multi-year dog. So we're not surprised to see a sharp rebound given the crowded short positioning into this one. And it's definitely been a sharp move and will be a lot of volatility throughout this year as we see the final pivotal data for this melanoma data set. Hopefully this year, though management has suggested it could slip into 27. So there's a little bit of uncertainty and volatility there as well.
Company made a bit of news today, the CEO saying that it will invest less or not much at all in late-stage vaccine trials in the U.S. For obvious reasons, because, of course, the government is recommending fewer of them. What does that mean in terms of the long-term growth path for the business?
We're fans of that decision, actually. Independent of our rating, we've been concerned about the shift away from vaccine use and vaccine recommendations with this administration and the last couple of administrations. And I think this represents the CEO recognizing and making a tough, smart decision. It does weigh on future growth prospects, especially for the combination COVID flu vaccine, a big part of the bull story. So I think this represents the CEO hedging his bets a little bit on the base business. It's a smart decision, even if it reflects an underlying negative headwind for their base revenue business. But Stefan Boncel's doing the best with the hand that he's been dealt in this case.
What will it take to get you to upgrade the stock, seeing how it's performed? I mean, your $18 target, you never really hit that. It went as low as about 22 or so, Mani. And so I'm wondering if you think it's time to change your rating at all, given, what you say, smart moves in terms of scaling back on vaccine R&D and the potential data points that we're going to see on cancer.
We've actually bounced around our rating a couple of times as the fundamental story has changed from the peak of the pandemic boom, the transition to the current endemic environment, and now the pivot towards the pipeline. And the key debates for us this year, and for the market as a whole, are going to be to what extent is there existential risk from the IP dispute with Roivant and Arbutus. That'll be a key event that plays out in March one way or the other and represents potentially meaningful risk to the balance sheet as well as future margins. We're going to be watching that one closely, as well as what we see from this cancer readout. This will be hugely binary. There's a lot of optimism baked into the stock at this valuation. And to be quite honest, we missed this move on the way up. And now it becomes a tougher trade. If we were to get that melanoma data today, the risk reward isn't as clear as it would have been at $20 or in the teens. But those are key events that could change our view going forward. and change how we think about the long-term cash flow generation of this business, which still depends mostly on the core vaccine business. So they're going to have to change that in a real way. One way or another, regardless of how our rating plays out, this is going to be an extremely volatile stock heading into key cancer conferences mid-year and the back half of this year.
All right, this is from Reuters, January 22nd. Just blurb update. Headline reads, Moderna curbing investment in vaccine trials due to U.S. backlash. CEO tells Bloomberg TV. Here we have Moderna CEO Stéphane Bancel, and it says Moderna does not plan to invest in new late-stage vaccine trials because of growing opposition to immunization from U.S. officials. CEO Stéphane Bancel said in an interview with Bloomberg TV on Thursday. There's just two short paragraphs here. Shares of the vaccine maker jumped 10.16% in morning trading. But he says, quote, you cannot make a return on investment if you don't have access to the U.S. market. Bancel told Bloomberg TV on the sidelines of World Economic Forum in Davos. Bancel said regulatory delays and little support from the authorities make the market size, quote, much smaller, end quote. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., longtime vaccine skeptic, has moved rapidly to rewrite the U.S. vaccination policy, including dropping recommendations for the C19 shots for pregnant women and children, directing states to limit their vaccine mandates, and cutting funding for mRNA-based vaccine research. Okay. I'm just going to key in on the market size, not on the funding. Smaller market, ROI, it's a problem. That's just the gist of what I'm taking from this. You can read more into it if you like. That's how I read it. But not least, let's take a look at this Wall Street Journal article, January 21st, 2026, with CEO from Pfizer, Albert Bourla. It says Robert F. Kennedy's position on vaccines is profoundly, quote, anti-science, end quote. Making the progress would require a new health secretary. Pfizer CEO Albert Bourla said Wednesday. It's just a transcript below there. I just wanted to play this because I've seen some things on social media where it said that he went on some, interview and had a big rant and was super frustrated, and the man's cracking and all this stuff. And so I just wanted to give a quick listen to it.
I have very productive discussions when it comes to cancer cures, when it comes to the MFN that we did, the most favored nation deals, etc. It's a different world when you start discussing vaccines. There is almost like a religion there. Mm-hmm. So I'm very concerned, very frustrated with that. But I continue engaging, and we have, as I said, a very strong and respectful, both ways, relationship, and we can chat about that.
So sort of discuss the things that you can get agreements on and park the issues that you kind of fundamentally disagree on. Works for a while, but it's not a sort of sustainable kind of thing for years to come. Something has to change, no?
The Secretary of Health.
Yes.
Yeah, so he seemed to agree that long-term sustainability of the relationship, given fundamental differences in views on vaccines, was going to be a problem. I don't know if that was a rant. I don't know if that was him being outraged and going off or something. I just think we need to see it for ourselves because it wasn't an emotional outbreak from him. Yeah, he's frustrated. Yeah, it makes sense. So that's what I have. Thanks so much for joining me on this one, and we'll see you on the next one.